changed my life.
Have all the fun you want. Break anything, you know?
Good for you? Yeah, good enough. Stay out of trouble. You had a fake back. I saw that. We did one with a bank, but it was a 50 front at that dinner thing. Beer tasting. Oh, that's so I had a fake one, but it had me sitting on the beach. Waves coming in, and palm trees blowing and stuff, so it popped up. It was perfect. I go, I better not do that one for this thing. Although that's really great. Yeah.
Good morning.
In August, I get one of my daughters who's married out in the steamboat. Oh, that's awesome. So, great. Yeah, so we'll do that. Now my wife and I travel. We got down to Florida a lot, Colorado. We got 3 daughters out in Colorado. Oh, that's awesome. She was out there last week. We go back and forth.
Yep.
No grandkids.
You can hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Howard, how are you?
I think it was Mark.
Mom just turned 86. My in-laws are up in Hilltop. Okay. Somebody wrote a book on how to do that.
How you doing? Good. All is well.
Good, how's it going?
Gary, was Cheryl planning to attend?
Yeah, she had accepted it. I thought she was going to be here. I just spoke with her.
All right, now we have a super
quorum.
Here she is. Hi. How are you? We have you right next to Dan.
I was just complaining that going from virtual to in-person is requiring
Right, we have to add that.
timing, travel.
Well, you're good to go.
Okay, we'll call the governance committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the acceptance of the meeting transcript from the May 19th, 2021 meeting. Carrie sent that out, and if there were any revisions or modifications, they were sent back to her. So we will accept that for the record. Next item on our agenda is public comment. If there's anyone who wishes to address the governance committee, they can speak now. All we ask is that you give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to make your comments to the committee. Is there anyone who would like to address the governance committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting and move on to our agenda items. First item is a review, discussion, recommendation to authorize an increase in the mortgage tax exemption amount for the mortgage from Bluestone Wind LLC to the Bank of Montreal and FUFG Union Bank by an amount of $102,310 from $1,918,038 to $2,020,348 to cover the final mortgage amount of $202,034,750.27. Basically, I guess that's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, I say this is really an administrative item more than anything else. I'm in conversations with council, Bluestone Wind, their subsequent mortgage that they'll be taking out has increased. We think it's more of a not to exceed amount of $102,000 as really a mortgage recording tax as a right benefit that we provide to anyone that's doing that financing. So, this is just to modify that in our records and allow them to.
Stacy,
Yep. We hear you,
this
Joe.
is Joe. I don't have the revised resolution in front of me, but it's 99,000, correct?
We believe so, yes, that's why I noted this is likely a
Okay.
not.
All right, okay, as long as it's 99. Yep,
Yes. Mhm.
okay.
What's the significance of 99?
The
The
99,
significance is that there could be an issue as to whether or not we would be required to hold a second public hearing because the incentive is over $100,000. So if you put it under that,
So the motion is for 102, or the agenda item, I should
No.
say.
Yes.
no, it should be 99, okay?
right, yes. Joe had a conversation with council this afternoon.
And we
Right.
it could possibly be an issue. I don't think it is, but you never know. And they said, well, let's just make it 99 as opposed to 102, and we'll pay the $3,000 difference. I don't think there's much in the way of stomach for additional public hearing on this project, but
Right.
this way it removes any question as to whether or not a public hearing is or wouldn't be required. I've researched it. I don't find any requirement when we change an amount after we've had a public hearing that it's required to hold a second or third or fourth, in this case, public hearing. So 99 will remove any issue relative to that.
So we have to amend this here.
Right.
So we have to amend this to say an amount, or just amount of 99,000.
Right.
Amount not, or amount
Yep.
not to
Not to
exceed
exceed.
99,000. They can afford
Correct.
63.
Yeah.
So the amendment will read it by an amount not to exceed 99,000. Now, who can do the math?
Correct.
Who can do the math in their head? So these other figures change.
Yes, right, let's see how quick we are. Yes, and this,
No, the mortgage amounts won't change. The
Oh, just-
exemption only changes.
Doesn't that change the totals or not?
Yeah.
It must change
No,
it.
because they are still mortgaging 202, 34,750, but they're only going to get a mortgage tax exemption additional for 99 as opposed to 102.
So the increment of the mortgage increase, the increase in the principal amount, there's a delta there where they do not receive the benefit.
Exactly.
But it doesn't, so you're saying it doesn't change any of these totals?
Totals, yeah.
No, the totals don't
Other than
change.
their benefit of the 99,000. We apologize, this is at 10:45, we're just
That's right.
getting this information. So, they will receive a benefit up to an additional 99,000, and that delta they will pay. So the mortgage will be the same that they're taking, but the benefit will be based on the increase
why
of
don't they say-
99,000.
Why don't, for the sake of clarity, just amend this so it's the amount of 99, up
Yep.
to not to exceed $99,000 period, and leave off all of the.
We certainly can do that.
So by an amount not to exceed $99,000.
Yes.
Not to
Period, and then there's no confusion with the 3,000.
So we'll say to authorize an increase in the mortgage tax exemption amount for the mortgage from Bluestone Wind to the Bank of Montreal and FG by an amount not to exceed $99,000. That's what
Period.
it's.
Period, and get rid of the rest.
Is there any additional discussion or questions? Not, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, is there a second? Second. Moved by Brian, second by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, so we have one abstention. Cheryl. Okay, so the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a review, discussion, recommendation to consent to the assignment by 50 Front Street Associates LLC to Avery 50 Front Street LLC of a certain lease agreement, memorandum of lease, leaseback agreement, memorandum of leaseback, and payment in lieu of tax agreement dated as of March 9th, 2017, covering premises located at 50 Front Street in the city of Binghamton.
Yes, so I had a conversation with Mark Newman, principal at Newman Development on July 13th, or July 12th, actually, noting that there was progression of discussion on the sale of the 50 Front Street property from Newman Development to Avery 50 Front Street LLC, and requested the transfer of the pilot, as is our process in a situation where the property will be retained, the use will be retained, and there's no substantive changes. It's really typically more of an administrative item. We received this correspondence from Avery 50 Front Street LLC last week. It's in your packet. So this would be essentially just the reassignment of the pilot benefits to 50 Front Street LLC. The property manager will remain the same, and again, the property will remain luxury apartments for which the benefit was provided. Howard Rittberg, the counsel for Newman Development Group, is here should you have any questions.
Any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. For motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion, second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I have to abstain. Had a bad day.
So one abstention, motion carries. Okay, that's our agenda items. One quick thing, we were talking a couple meetings ago about a process about looking at the pilot, our pilot process, and John wanted the governance committee kind of to take that on. So I'm just thinking, I know what our best approach is, maybe to set up meetings like we did for the solar and wind pilots. And I'm thinking that if, in the interim, like Stacy might set up some meetings, if there's any particular questions that come to mind about the pilot process, maybe we could forward them to you, use them in advance, so that might facilitate discussion when we get together.
Yeah, I think that would make great sense, and I think now that we can gather in person too, we can set up a series of some meetings to, review, if I can get the questions in advance that you may have on the process, or any recommendations on what we might want to look at with our process. We can set up a governance
Right.
committee meeting.
Yes, I think there's been some underlying questions on just the overall process, just that are natural.
It's always good to revisit the
Yeah.
policy and conditions.
And we obviously could open up to the whole board, so anybody who has a question, we can just say submit it, or want just some explanation,
Sure.
and then we can, so when we meet, we have an agenda to start with.
We can do that, prior to our August meeting. We'll get something set up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, is there any other business for governance committee?
Mayor,
Yes,
this is Joe, and Stacy. I will revise that resolution right now and have Susan scan it over to Carrie so you can distribute it to the board before the noon meeting, all right?
Okay, thank you.
if we can adjourn, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Cheryl can do it.
You don't have to abstain, I just want to make sure.
That was a pivotal move, too. We need, is there a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we adjourn.
We are on at 11:45 for our LDC.
So we have a few minutes before we